Back now on the Pulse, looking at all things people, power, and politics. Here now to talk about the race for governor, Detroit City Council member Mary Waters and Troy Mayor Ethan Baker, a Republican and a Democrat. Obviously, in most of their work that they do, nonpartisan roles, just trying to help their respective cities in Detroit and Troy. But we thank you both for joining us here today.
Thank you.
So Elon Musk the other day made some news, and he said, we are going to start a new party called America Party. Councilwoman Waters, when you heard that at first, what went through your mind?
Just another opportunity to split the votes, because that's exactly what happens. I don't know how he's going to pull that off, but that's exactly what it means. Mostly we have either Democrats or Republicans, and it's very difficult to get people to go over to another side like that. So it ended up splitting the votes.
Well, let's take a look at some numbers. Edwin Research, which does a lot on polling, basically said that in the last election, that when they polled the people who were at the polls, they said 34% identified as independent, 34% identified as Republicans, and 32% identified as Democrats. That means that 34% of the people identified as an independent and fewer people identified as a Democrat. Mayor Ethan Baker, is this writing on the wall for the parties?
No, well, here's the thing. I think that poll doesn't go all the way into the full look at how people really vote. I think most of those independents, if you ask them, do they typically vote with one party? Another answer is usually yes. Most independents will say, well, yes, I'm an independent, but 95% of the time I vote Republican or I vote Democrat. So I don't know that that's actually as much of a large block as it seems.
But what does that speak to in terms of people feeling disenfranchised, people feeling that they're not getting what they deserve?
Well, I think we all want to feel independent, right?
It's the way they feel. Absolutely. They are tired of the various partisan things. And we're seeing that more and more. People don't necessarily want to align themselves with the Republican side or the Democratic side. They want to go somewhere down the middle.
Do you think the Kamala Harris campaign, in some sense, was a rebuke from many voters out there who said the Democratic Party used to say they're working for the working people? Do you think that reputation has faltered?
Well, I think with the Kamala Harris campaign, it was just something totally different. Frankly, I think there were issues on the table that people were pretty upset about during that time. There were a number of reasons, plus the fact that they used the fact that she was a female against her as well. There were a number of factors that played into Kamala Harris's campaign.
What do you think about her messaging in general and the Democratic Party's messaging, just as someone who is a political observer yourself?
I can't believe we're still talking about the Kamala Harris campaign. It seems like forever ago now, but no, you know,
we'll move on from that.
Well, I think if you look at what people are talking about now, there's another split in the Democratic Party saying, are we a more progressive party that's focused on very specific issues, or do we want to go back to our working class roots, and do we realize that most people are in the middle? That's how I view it. Maybe as an outsider Republican a little bit.
And clearly her messages could have been much better. Messaging was really bad. I mean, she was not addressing the issues that matter to Americans.
And the reason we're bringing up that old election from a lifetime ago is because to know where you're headed, you have to know where you've been, and both parties have to really take a good look in the mirror and understand where we're headed. Mike Duggan has done that, the mayor of the city of Detroit, and he said that his father was a proud Reagan Republican. And he also said that if his father was alive today, he wouldn't recognize the Republican Party. Ethan Baker is a Republican. Do you think that's true?
I don't know Mike Duggan's father, but I couldn't answer that.
But as a Reagan Republican, you knew Reagan.
I did, and I do think there's a lot of Reagan Republicans still left in this party, and I think maybe they're flirting with some Trump MAGA type behavior. But at the core, people are who they are. They very rarely grow up and spend decades supporting a certain set of policies and then all of a sudden change. Those people are still here in this country. So I don't know that the Reagan Republicans are gone. I certainly come in contact with a lot of them. But I think the party's definitely changed. Both parties have changed. I mean, people have changed dramatically. The social media has changed us. What we hear about, what we talk about has changed. So yeah, there's going to be a realignment, I think, a little bit. But I don't know that we're ready to get rid of the Republican Party or the Democratic Party. I don't think it's that simple.
Mayor Ethan Baker, for those who aren't familiar, he's actually very much, he loves the city of Troy. He's the mayor of the city of Troy, but is spent a lot of time in California, kind of grew up there, and you knew the Reagans very well, Nancy and Reagan, the former First Lady and the former president. An interesting perspective. All right, Councilwoman Waters, let's talk about Mayor Mike Duggan and his fight as an independent. Basically, if you look at some numbers here, he says, and he was sitting right where you are just about a few months ago, and he told the Pulse, hey, look, if you have 30-some% of the people who say identify as an independent, why not go look into that and get those votes, and then also get the ones who are disenfranchised Republicans, disenfranchised Democrats, sick of the blue, tired of the red? Let's go. Will this work for him?
I think it will. Mayor Mike Duggan is brilliant a brilliant politician. He will figure it out. I think I said that a little bit earlier, a few months ago. Yes, he will, because people are looking for something different. And so when he go after those independents, he will get some Democratic votes in spite of it, and he's going to pull some Republican votes as well.
Mayor Ethan Baker, John James, Congressman, Mike Cox, former Attorney General, Tom Leonard, Eric Nesbitt. These are Republicans who have their names in their hat. Your thoughts on them?
Well, it seems to me that they pretty much all kind of fit a similar lane in the Republican Party, and I still think there's room for other Republicans to come in. I think there will be Republicans that still come into this race for governor. And the interesting thing about Mayor Duggan's campaign as an independent, I don't think you need to be an independent to bring people together and work across the aisle. I think the right Republican or the right Democrat can get votes from both parties.
Well, they haven't been doing it. The right Democrat, the right Republican. I mean, it has been chaos for the most part.
I agree that it's been different. Yeah, it has been different, and people are tired of it, but I think at their core, people still want to vote with the party that they feel comfortable with. And there's question as to whether Mike Duggan, he was out supporting and campaigning for Kamala Harris right before he announced as an independent for governor. So there are people who know that.
It's probably because he didn't like the messages that Donald Trump was giving out. I'm pretty sure he just couldn't let, just like what's happening right now with the big nasty bill.
Well, let me ask you this. The nomenkers that this bill
caught
gets
yourself there, I think.
after it's already been passed is amazing. Okay, let's talk about what he's up against. Is the reason Mayor Mike Duggan ran as an independent because he simply thought perhaps taking on a woman like Jocelyn Benson or an African-American who's powerful like Garland Gilchrist wouldn't be a wise choice in that category? Do you think that had something to do with it?
No, I don't. No? Well, maybe with Jocelyn Benson, because it would be very difficult to beat a Jocelyn Benson in a Democratic primary. It just would be. But in terms of Garland Gilchrist, not so much, because Garland has never been elected to anything. Think about it. He has never been elected. Even though he's lieutenant governor, he was basically, this was all Gretchen Whitmer. It was not him on the ballot.
You look at someone like Chris Swanson. He's the the sheriff out in Genesee County, a charismatic guy. During the Black Lives Matter parades, he knelt and prayed and sat with people all over the state, in particular in Genesee County. Will people remember that? And do you think his charisma that so many people talk about can actually trump some other things and other people's power?
You wonder. He has to do a lot of work to make it happen. You're talking about here in Metro Detroit. Are they talking about him over on Fox 17 in Grand Rapids? I don't know. That's the thing. The people without statewide name recognition have a big hurdle starting off, and Mayor Duggan faces that same hurdle, but he's out ahead of it because he's not going to have a primary. So
what's the topic? We have 15 seconds apiece left. What's the topic that any of these candidates who want to win have to address that they're not? Go ahead.
Well, I think that jobs in Michigan is always going to be number one. Our economy, if we can't afford our housing, if we can't afford our food, and we can't have jobs that pay for all those things, we're in trouble. So
jobs and the economy, without a doubt, because then we've got to have housing. We have to be and public safety too, though.
Yeah. And I would think education's on that list as well.
Oh, education is way up there. I mean, what are we going to do about education? Detroit certainly needs to do something about it.
Well, you've been working at that for a long time now, and we thank you, of course, for joining us here on The Pulse. Councilwoman Mary Waters and Mayor Ethan Baker of Troy, always great to see you both. Thanks for joining us. We are turning now to artificial intelligence. Scammers tried to impersonate this guy, Secretary of State Marco Rubio. We're telling you what to watch out for next on The Pulse.